Welcome to the Third Win channel. Today, we're continuing our season's episode tier list series with Drake and Josh. By popular demand, I've been seeing some comments. I want to see Drake and Josh, la la la. Okay, well, it's here now, and I just want to mention that yes, we have done this series for iCarly and Zoe 101 newly, so you can go check those out if you like those shows. But today, we're doing Drake and Josh, season 1. So here are our tiers: favorites, iconic, great, good, okay, could skip, pretty self explanatory. But in this season, there are only 6 episodes. And we ran into a problem pretty quickly, which is it was 6 episodes. I didn't put them all into favorite. I put them, I did make a tier list for it, but I thought it would be more fun to rank these episodes instead of putting them into a tier list and talk about each episode and, putting them into a rank from 1 to 6. So I'll reveal this tier list at the end for those of you who really want the tier list, but I want to do a ranking, so let's get into it. And here's our template. Let's order it up a little bit so it looks a little nicer. And without further ado, our number 6 in this season is Episode 4, Two Idiots and a Baby. What can I say about this episode? I think there's one thing that happens in this episode that's very important, and that's Drake proves his kind of loyalty to Josh. He shows some kind of moral character. This episode basically, Walter and Audrey are going out on a date with, I think, Walter's boss, and Walter's boss needs a babysitter, so basically Drake and Josh are forced to babysit, which is a problem for Drake because he has this fancy schmancy thing he has to go to with his friends, or he has to play a gig or something. Yeah, I think he has to play a gig, and he ends up kind of deserting Josh with the baby. But when things get really crazy, when he has to choose between, I think, performing on stage and coming to help Josh, he ends up coming to help Josh. He calms the baby by playing some guitar for it, and even Megan helps out. I think it's a heartwarming episode. I just don't think it does quite enough to grant it more than the 6th spot. It's a fun little episode, but I guess the whole baby thing is a little eh. Most of the episode is just eh. But a neat little episode. I think it does for a lot for Drake's character. Next, I'll just, number 6. Next, number 5, we have First Crush, episode 5. Both of these episodes are, by the way, not written by Dan Schneider. The first 3 episodes on the season are written by Dan Schneider. Just a fun fact. But First Crush, as the title states, kind of first crush for Josh. He wants to impress this girl. He can't talk normally around this girl, so Drake starts giving him pointers, because by the 5th episode in the season, kind of Drake and Josh have learned to accept each other, and Drake's helping Josh out. But Josh mistakenly says that he can play guitar, and she invites him to play at her birthday party. I think it's her birthday party. And that obviously goes horribly wrong because Josh does not play guitar. So Drake helps Josh out, and long story short, it's a bit of a mess, but it's pretty fun. This episode is just a little bit fun, a little more fun than the last one, episode 4, and I like the kind of working together by the brothers, and a solid episode. Number 5. Let's move on to number 4, where we got Believe Me Brother. I did a rewatch about 3 or 4 months ago, and somehow I just never got into this episode, and I watched it before making this video, just now today, and I was shocked. This episode is really weird. It's really weird, but it's quite good, and it's for a 3rd episode of the show. It does a lot of stuff. It shows kind of Drake, Drake's softer side with girls. Like, he really likes the Susie girl. Usually he's one to kind of move on quite quickly from girl to girl. But it really hurts his feelings when he sees that Josh is making out with his girl. But what what the audience knows is that she's the one that's kind of she kissed him, and Josh always tries to avoid it, and she's really weird. She likes both of them, but you kind of just have to see the episode. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens too, like whenever Josh needs to explain like how he thinks she likes him, he starts talking about giraffes and the Animal Channel, and the parents as well. Walter and Audrey switch over to the Animal Channel. It seems like they like the kind of animal sexy time. Uh, it's tangent, right? But this episode is I don't want to explain the whole episode, but it's a weird one. It's a fun one. I was surprised. I didn't expect this. For some reason, I just didn't remember this episode before today. But yeah, Megan's pranks are involved, and they have to film a music video. Just a lot of fun stuff. I like this episode. I'm putting it in number fourth spot here, because our top three in this season are episodes that I find to be iconic, ones that I remember since I was like 10 or younger. I don't know. These episodes are just really good. Moving on, number three, we have the pilot episode. You know, the pilot episode might deserve to be number one because it sets up the whole show, but the premise of it is a little bit, what can I say? It just doesn't. It's good. It's good. It's really funny as well, but I just prefer the other two more. But if you guys don't remember the pilot, we get to know that Walter and Audrey are getting married. Drake reacts badly. Josh loves it. Then, pretty much right after, Drake learns that at their school there's this helper in the kind of school newspaper called Miss Nancy, who helps the kids at the school with their problems. And Drake finds out that Josh is Miss Nancy, and of course he has to dress like a big woman to write these helps to these kids. And basically Drake, being Drake, uses this to his advantage, trying to get a girl. It all goes south because this girl has a boyfriend, and Josh gets in between, and this guy gets angry. I'm going over this quickly. And basically, what this ends up with is Josh having to fight this guy that's the girl's boyfriend. Complicated stuff. Josh trains vigorously with Drake's help at a karate dojo where a guy keeps telling them about chicken tenders. And when it comes to the fight, then Josh gets knocked out in one punch, which was funny. But the episode ends with the brothers kind of accepting each other as brothers, and it's a good moment. I think the pilot does what it has to do, and it is quite funny. So yeah, third place. Next, we got Dune Buggy. I don't know why this episode kind of sticks in my brain as like a really good, a really important episode as well. Follows up on the pilot. It kind of lets us know who our characters are. And there's one main theme in this episode, which is around lying. Drake seems to always get away with lying every time, and it starts to not work out for him in this episode. But also, Drake tries to teach Josh to lie, and Josh accidentally breaks the TV, and he tries to lie about it, and he gets grounded. It's fun, but it's very funny. But what happens in this episode is that Josh and Drake are getting a dune buggy from their very, let's just say, not so smart friend Trevor, and things go south, and Drake, without their parents' permission, crashes it, and he gets hurt. And that's when he starts to lie about, the dune buggy, and lying to his parents about being hurt. Like, he just tries to hide it. It ends up with both. I mean, Josh was already grounded, then Drake is grounded, and Josh is like, "Oh, I hope you've learned your lesson," blah blah blah. And then what this ends up with, Drake is injured, so Josh ends up being his servant because they're both grounded, and it's funny. I don't know. I think this episode's important for the whole lying bit. I might not have explained it the best way, but it's a really good moral episode, and I really like the dune buggy stuff. It's quite funny, and Trevor is a really funny, like. Yeah, moving on. Yeah, number two and number one. That means our season finale in Grammy is the winner. The reason I like Grammy so much is because of Grammy. I think Grammy's a really great character, better than, like, for example, Audrey. I love how Drake is so the prejudice Drake shows in the beginning of this episode versus like when he learns about Grammy and how she actually is, and he comes to really like her because she's really cool. Drake wants to. I mean, basically, the parents leave for the weekend. The guys are happy because being home alone as a kid is amazing, especially if you have siblings, I guess. And but no, the parents send over a Grammy, so they're not home alone. Josh is stoked. Drake is not because he wanted to go to a concert this weekend, and Grammy does not allow him to. But he makes a deal with Grammy that he would be able to go out to see his friends, at least not to go to the concert, if he beats her in basketball, and Grammy lets him win, which we find out later. So he goes, but he breaks Grammy's trust and he goes to the concert anyways, not just hanging out with his friends. But they have counterfeit tickets, so the police detains them, and Grammy has to bail them out for $200. When they get home, Grammy reveals that she let Drake win so he can go hang out with his friends. Drake doesn't believe her, so she shows him that she's better at basketball than Drake. And the bet before the second game was that he would tell his parents about what happened if she won. But in the end, um, because Drake fished out $200 of his own money and gave it to Grammy, and it was ready to reveal to the parents what happened. But Grammy saw this, and she realized that Drake's learned his lesson. He was ready to confess up, and she intervenes and stops him from saying it. And even when she's on her way out from the house, she even gives him back the $200, and that's when Drake realized how cool Grammy really is. Sorry for explaining literally the whole episode, but I think it's just a perfectly written episode, and I don't know, a great way to finish off the season and kind of round off the whole Drake bad guy type character that season one kind of shifts. Drake's character shifts over the season, and I think this is a good way to tie it up. But yeah, number one. And for those of you who want to see it, this is what I say is my tier list for this. I think those 3 episodes are definitely in my favorites or iconic. I think Believe Me Brother is a weird one to still have to think about, but I think it's definitely a great episode, at least for the entertainment value. And yeah, Two Idiots and a Baby and First Crush definitely deserve to be good at the very least. But I've made this video way longer than it has to be. Here are my thoughts on season 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for season 2 by subscribing, and you can go check out all of our other Nickelodeon content on this channel. I'm sure at this point there's like 30 or 40 videos, maybe more. I don't know. And yeah, that's been the Third Wind channel. So yeah, I'll see you guys probably tomorrow for another one of these. Looking forward to it. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you all. And help me reach 1,000 subscribers by subscribing, because I want to have polls, because then I can ask, do you want to see Drake and Josh or Victorious next? But this time I made an executive decision. It was going to be Drake and Josh next. But I digress. See you guys in the next video.